Hello, this is Dave Worthen. Today's mini seminar is on overwhelm. It's entitled Ability and Overwhelm. Okay, so here we go. Overwhelm. It's an interesting word. You may have your own idea of what it means. Possibly juggling kids and finances, your work and your marriage, the stresses of running your company and all of the employee and client demands. Those are certainly things that can be trying and stressful, but that's not overwhelm. Here's the definition of overwhelm. To defeat completely, quote unquote. And here are some synonyms. Trounce, rout, beat, conquer, vanquish, overcome, overthrow, crush. A moment in your life. Your husband is cleaning out the attic. He walks into the kitchen staring at some old 8x10s of you in one hand and a half dozen faded first place blue ribbons in his other hand. He looks at you and speaks. I was going to throw these out until I looked at the ribbons and read the inscription on the picture, he says with a caring tone. On the picture is inscribed, "The next Judy Garland. See you in Hollywood. Love you, girl. Cynthia." You look up from slicing a cucumber for the salad you're making. Time has stopped. Your husband's expression is bewilderment. You are suddenly transported to your senior high and high school. You received your first standing ovation in that high school auditorium. An indelible memory of the height of what you dreamed would be a successful singing career. And then you snap back into present time. You notice you're holding a cucumber and a paring knife standing in your kitchen. You then shrug your shoulders, hold back the grief that is welling up, and reply. Yeah, I had big dreams back then, you say with tears just back of your eyes, and go back to making your salad. But your husband is still amazed at what he's holding in his hand and walks up to you and sets your pictures and ribbons on the kitchen counter. He puts a loving hand on your shoulder and asks, "What happened?" You look back up at him and reply, "Mr. Littinger." Your husband looks at you puzzled. You continue. He said I didn't have range. He said my pitch was off. He told me it would take me years to get it perfect. I was so stunned I couldn't say a word. I never went back to that singing class. I sang my last note that day. That is overwhelm. Overcome, overthrow, crush. The beginning of overwhelm. You're sitting around a game board with friends on the weekend having a good time. You pick up a card and it says for you to, quote unquote, draw a horse. That card might as well said do a standing backflip in your living room. Just about the same thing, right? Your thought is, I cannot draw, quote unquote. No, I'm sorry. That's just not true. I cannot draw, quote unquote, is the idea you adopted at the point of overwhelm when your first grade teacher told you the cat you drew didn't look like anything like a cat, quote unquote. If the stick figure cat you drew did not look like a cat, and if you were only able to draw a cat as a stick figure, what is then left? You have no sticks, you have no cat, you cannot draw. Aesthetics, ability, and overwhelm. Take a cursory inspection of your life and see how much of your ability to create aesthetics has disappeared. As a kid, you would color with crayons, paint with finger paints, make an ashtray with clay for your mom. In school, you moved up to watercolors. You wrote an essay for your high school newsletter. You sang in a talent contest, and you won a ribbon, for heaven's sakes. Now, no crayons, no paints, no essays. Singing? Maybe in the shower. Maybe. And that's only if you are absolutely the only person home. Aesthetics have been the creative outlet since you entered the world. Here's a quote. If you hear a voice within you say, quote unquote, you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. Vincent van Gogh. When I was in high school, the Beatles and the Stones were the rage. I wanted to play guitar. So I bought myself a guitar and decided to learn how to play. When I got to learning my first chords, I was, what the hell? Anyone who has experience learning to play chords knows what I'm talking about. You see George Harrison or John Lennon strumming their guitars, you think to yourself, I can do that. You look at the chord chart, and then you swear to God, while you're trying to get your fingers to make that G chord, you're like, how in the hell am I supposed to get my fingers to do that? The near impossibility of it creates the feeling of overwhelm. You think, maybe this is not for me, quote unquote. So I thought, maybe I don't have the hands to be a guitar player. See? You question the idea that maybe this is not something you can do. At the moment of feeling overwhelmed, you look at whether or not you can do this. So I went and took a close-up look at George Harrison's hands. Eric Clapton's too. Wow! I knew, quote unquote, why I could not play chords. I did not have, quote unquote, guitar hands. Ever see George's or Eric's fingers? They're long friggin' fingers. See, they could do this, not me. At the moment of overwhelm or feeling completely overcome by the finger gymnastics involved with making a simple chord, I found a way to justify or rationalize why I could not. It was, of course, total bullshit. There's no such thing as guitar hands. And I did learn to play guitar, but I learned an interesting lesson back then. When you are so overcome by what appears to be the impossibility of something, you either give it up, defeat, or overwhelm. You make excuses or reasons you cannot. I don't have guitar hands. Or you decide you will not be defeated. The proof of overwhelm is now the idea I cannot sing, quote unquote, or I cannot draw, quote unquote, or I'm not cut out to play guitar has become the sole proprietor of your mindset. Overwhelm has nothing to do with your ability to do something. It has everything to do with the convincingness that you're not able to do it. Ability. What is it? The word ability comes from the word able, which in simplicity comes from Latin habilis, which means, quote unquote, easy to handle, handy, quote unquote, and to hold, quote unquote. To hold, handy, easy to use. You are able to drive your car. You are able to ride a bike. Okay, here's a little bit more on overwhelm. The idea that, quote unquote, I can do this is supplanted with the idea I cannot do this. It is the idea you cannot that now takes residence in your skull and is the point of overwhelm. When the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, it vanquished an entire city and thousands of lives. Overwhelm. When you have been crushed or overcome or defeated completely, you seemingly cannot summon the energy necessary to change the inertia of the overwhelm of the idea. It is not that you cannot. It is not that you are not able. Overwhelm is being so thoroughly overcome by the thing you were attempting to do that the idea that you cannot do that thing becomes your new point of view. You may need to read that again or listen to it again. Somewhere in your pursuit of aesthetics, you were so thoroughly invalidated that by the very definition of the word invalidate, you are no longer valid, quote unquote, as a singer, dancer, etc. That is not a cat. You do not have the range. There is no city. You see a video online of a couple dancing. You have always wanted to dance like that. Every time you see dancing on TV or in your Facebook newsfeed, you think, I want to dance like that. First is the idea you can do this. Then you create the space to be a dancer. You enroll in a class. Then with your excitement, you set out to do what a dancer does, to be a dancer. When you get to the do part, you now know you need to learn the doingness. In other words, you need to learn how to move your body and do what a dancer does. This part is critical. Your teacher instructs you and your partner how to do the simple steps and move your body. You are a tad shocked at how hard it is to coordinate your body into these simple moves. Your partner seems to grasp it, but you are beginning to introvert because you cannot move your body easily on these steps. You can see the frustration building in your partner. Although your instructor is very patient and encouraging, you can feel her unexpressed concern. No matter how patient your dancing instructor is, you are not able to move your body like she shows you. You have so many losses with learning how to do these dance steps, you conclude, I am not able to do this. I am not able to do this, quote unquote, is the overwhelming idea that you now acknowledge as the way that it is. In fact, when your friends suggest you, come on, let's go, let's give it another try, you are not even equivocal about it. You are resolute that dancing is not for you. This is overwhelm. Follow? Overwhelm is the condition where you now occupy the space occasioned by defeat. You are now not a dancer. A year later, you are out to dinner on a date, and they have live music and a dance floor. Your date gets up from his chair, extends his hand, and asks, "Dance with me?" You look up at him with your heart pounding, and your dream to dance fleets across your mind, and you reply, "Sorry, I can't dance." A different perspective. You can dance. If you were told you cannot sing, you were told a lie. Of course you can sing. How well is a matter of practice, as in any skill or ability. But to feel you cannot sing or draw or dance, it is simply that the big bad wolf terrorized Little Red Riding Hood such that she no longer Little Red rides. My purpose in delivering this seminar is to give you a different look at what happened to your crayons and your insouciance and belting out your favorite song in your underwear like a young Tom Cruise in Risky Business. And that your ability to do these things today is there just like it always was. Ability is resident in everyone. Expression of ability is tempered only by those points in your life when you were met with a viewpoint that was overwhelming. Period. You will not get up and sing at Thanksgiving or dance at a party, although you envision yourself being able to do so, but the viewpoint of doing it restimulates the overwhelm and defeat. So your ability is shut down like blowing a fuse in your house. You will let your paints or drawing pencils sit in your closet. You will let your piano collect dust, and you dare not get rid of the lot because they are a hyperlink to your heart and soul. They are forever a reminder of a time when you felt you were a free being. You had the freedom to be, the freedom to do. And it's the freedom you long for. It's the freedom of expression. It is not the paints, canvas, dance move, or chord progression. It is the desire to be free to do it and make a mistake and do it again and again, like riding your bike without training wheels. And when you are able to hold and handle easily, quote unquote, the riding of your bike, there was a freedom and elation so big there was simply not enough room on your 7-year-old face for your smile to fully express itself. And when there is no criticism or evaluation or admonishment for how you sing or how long it took you to learn that dance move, you have progress. And with progress, you have taken all the tarps and camouflage off of what was creating the illusion that your ability was non-existent when in actual fact it was very much alive. And once you are able to hold and handle that two-step, that G chord, and that high octave note with ease, well, you've arrived. You have not succumbed to the idea you cannot. You are truly free to move around the cabin. Okay, that's my mini seminar for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for stopping by.